Hey, so we're already halfway through the year, and since this channel is just starting off, and Shonen Jump is going to be one of the big things I talk about on this channel, I want to kind of get everybody up to speed on where the magazine's at and where it's headed for the rest of the year. And it's been an interesting year so far. I think going into this year, a lot of people thought that it would kind of be like a year where the magazine's trying to regain its footing since we lost a lot of big series last year. And myself included, because I had a hard time after after JJK and My Hero ended. I had a hard time envisioning what this magazine would look like. I kind of had this vision in my head of just them really scrambling, trying to get something down, trying to get another big hit going, and maybe they would even try to force a hit to happen. But so far, that's not happened, and I think we actually have some really solid series in the lineup right now. And that's actually the first thing I want to talk about in this kind of half a year in check in with Shonen Jump. So in the latter half of last year, we had quite a few new series drop that a lot of flops obviously still, but also some really big mainstays that are still in the magazine to this day. And those are the things primarily that we're going to be talking about as the new cornerstones for the magazine. These are the things that are keeping it up on its feet right now after, the big departure of big hitters last year. Obviously, the first thing to talk about real quick, this won't be very long, is One Piece. I mean, that's always going to be their bread and butter for as long as it lasts, which it's going to be a while still. I think we still have several years left of One Piece. So as long as that's there, Jump's going to be fine. It's going to sell. But obviously, they know One Piece won't last forever. So they're definitely trying to find, in addition to finding replacements for My Hero and JJK, which that's already done. But that was the main, that was a big talking point for about a year. But we're kind of past that now. Regardless, One Piece will always be there. Even whenever it does end eventually, I think the magazine will be in a good place by that point, that it'll be able to just, it'll sustain itself just fine without One Piece. I wouldn't worry about that much. It is going to be a weird time whenever One Piece does end. That's going to be a game changer, obviously, for both the magazine and the world. That's going to be pretty insane to imagine One Piece not being published. But beyond One Piece, we have a few series that are doing like super notably well, and the first of which being Ichi the Witch, guys. This series is like doing really insane. It's for a series that is, relatively new, all things considered, it's pretty nuts. This is like an out the gate success. This is going to be easily one of the cornerstones of the magazine going forward. And we don't have to narrow this down to like four pillars, but I kind of want to try to. And this is definitely one of those four. If I were to pick, oh look at that! If I were to pick four that are really holding the magazine up right now, Ichi the Witch is definitely one of them. And I personally, I absolutely love Ichi the Witch. I think it's fantastic. I've really enjoyed reading it week to week. There hasn't really been a dud yet. It's just super entertaining, great cast of characters, incredible art, really interesting story so far. I have no complaints about Ichi. I hope it's here to stay for a long time, and it definitely seems to be. It's selling super well. It's ranking really well in the polls. It's always high on the TOC. No worries about this series. This is a cornerstone easily. And now when talking about these cornerstones, I kind of want to not mention One Piece as one of them, because if we're talking about like four support columns of a room or a building or whatever, One Piece is just like the middle column. It's just holding the whole thing together. All the other pillars could fall, One Piece would remain, and the magazine would be fine. It's a really thick middle pillar. So let's ignore that for now. It's One Piece, guys. I like it. So in addition to Ichi, There's also Sakamoto Days. This is a big mainstay right now. The only thing about this one is it's kind of wrapping up. I think it seems to be in its nearing a conclusion of some sort, but it'll almost certainly last through this year and probably well into next year as well. I think. I can't say for certain. It might end like early next year, but we'll see. Either way, easily one of the cornerstones right now, and it's one of those ones where the loss of it will be felt, but it's the magazine will carry on without it. It's got a lot of promising new series that will kind of fill the void of that one. Even though it's funny because Sakamoto Days was kind of the JJK void filler for a lot of people, and Sakamoto Days is now on its way out too. So it's an endless cycle. So those are my two locks for what I consider the four pillars of the magazine right now. And the other two is where things get a little competitive because there's a lot of series we can talk about here. I want to talk about briefly every series in the magazine in this video, but when talking about narrowing down the four pillars, I think Blue Box is another big pillar right now. It's it had a really successful anime adaptation. It still brings in readers all the time. It sells really well. You know the drill. And in Shonen Jump, there always has to be that one standout romance series that's just always around. And this one, I love Blue Box, by the way. I'm a huge fan of Blue Box. And I love it so much, and I really appreciate it because unlike a lot of other romance series that have ran in this magazine, this is a very down-to-earth, grounded, not wildly sexual romance series. It's very not sexual. In fact, there's like little to no fan service ever in this series. I can't even really think of any examples of fan service in Blue Box. Yeah, there really aren't any. I mean, I'm sure somebody could point out a couple little scenes, but it's nothing like in your face. There's no like Lucky Lecture moments or anything like that. It's just a wholesome high school romance series, and I love it for that. So it being one of the four pillars is essential. Like this romance series is a Shonen Jump staple, and this is their big one right now. We also have Hematen, which is on the rise, but it's not quite at Blue Box level yet. And if it continues to stay as solid as it has been, I'm pretty sure that's another mainstay at some point. It's kind of unclear how long Blue Box has left. I have to imagine we are nearing the end of that as well to some degree. Again, though, I do see it lasting through the rest of this year and probably into next year. But like many other things, who can say for sure? And lastly, for these four cornerstones, of course, ultimately all of this means nothing because this is just me saying what I think they are. And I'm trying to base this off of how well a series is doing sales-wise and just how popular it seems to be, how well it's ranking. And the only thing that makes sense to include with those other three that I've mentioned is Kagurabachi. It's just doing really well, guys. It's the little series that could. It started off as a huge meme of both people being endeared to it and also just kind of openly roasting it for being what people assumed was edgy, like Shadow the Hedgehog manga, basically. But it's evolved into so much more than that, and it has left me genuinely stunned on many occasions. In fact, a little statistic I want to bring up real quick before we move away from this pillar discussion. So I am very thorough when I read this magazine, as I know this channel just started, but as a lot of you probably already know, I read every series in the magazine, caught up to all of them. And I take notes when I read. And every week I always pick, like, what was my favorite chapter this week? What really resonated with me the most? Yada, yada. That kind of deal. So let me read the stats of what series got my chapter of the week throughout this year. So Undead Unluck, it ended this year. This is not something I'll be talking about in this video because it's over. But Undead Unluck got chapter of the week twice for me. Ichi the Witch got it 3 times. Sakamoto Days got it twice. Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi, which I'll talk about in a moment, got it once. Blue Box got it 3 times. Elusive Samurai got it once, which actually surprised me. But I look back Thank God I take notes because I wouldn't usually give Elusive Samurai my chapter of the week, but that was a really damn good chapter. Himaten got it once so far. One Piece got it twice. Akane Banashi once, and me and Roboco once. I'll talk about all those series very soon. But Kagurabachi got it 6 times so far this year. So that blows everything out of the water. That's impressive. This series has really been clicking with me this year. I've just been loving it. The current arc that we're in is pretty incredible. It's just such a ride. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I can't wait for more every week. It's something I genuinely have started looking forward to every week. And it definitely didn't start that way for me. I was pretty down on this series when it first started. I was definitely amongst the crowd that thought this was just like trashy, edgy slop, but it is not that. And if you haven't read Kagurabachi yet, please do. It's definitely worth your time. So those are what I believe to be the big pillars. And once one of those pillars falls, there's definitely, in this current lineup, there is something to take its place as soon as it drops. And that's what I want to talk about now. Let's just talk about the rest of the magazine and see how all of these other series are doing in comparison to what I just described as like the higher echelon series, so to say. So let's start off with our newest series. There isn't going to be much to say about these, and I'll have more to talk about whenever we actually talk about these week to week because these are very new. But these could either be soon to be flops or smash hits. Who's to say? None of them have been around long enough to really say much about them currently. But first up, we have Kaidagami or Kaidagami. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that one. This just started as of recording this. This past issue. I haven't. There's also another new series coming out this next issue, but haven't gotten there yet. This is a decent start. I've only read the first chapter, so there's not much to say about it. It's definitely trying to carry itself with this main female character design. It's reminding me a lot of Fabricant 100, which is a series that ran. Yeah, I don't even remember how long ago actually, but that was a decent ride, and it was definitely a series that was its main selling point was the design of the lead female character, and that's happening again here. But there does seem to be something more to this. It just hasn't really made itself clear yet. It's definitely more of an emotional story about a weird kind of surrogate mother dynamic with this demon, a woman, and this kid. I think he's a kid. I don't know, young adult, whatever he is. So see where it goes. Not much to say about it right now, but it seems interesting. I see potential here. Could it last? I don't know. For some reason, I look at this and I don't see a series that's going to last. But I've been proven wrong on this many times. Then there's Harukaze Mound, which is a baseball series that just started about twins. They are, currently they've been separated into different teams, which is interesting. That's definitely not where I thought it was going. Based on like the initial setup of the story, but it's cool. It has good art. Jump is really trying to get a sports series going right now. It's just not working. We'll talk about Embers here in a moment. It's just not working right now, but they're trying, and I respect it. I think they'll get a hit eventually. This could be it. I was a big fan of Green Greens that ran last year, but I guess it didn't click with other people, which is a shame. But we'll see if this is the one. I don't know. We'll see. It has something to it. I'm willing to hear it out. I like it so far. It's just nothing too crazy yet. Then we have Oter of the Flame. Now this is a really cool one. This is of course by the mangaka who did Hunter's Guild Red Hood, which was a weirdly popular series for a flop. I mean, it didn't last super long. It lasted about the standard flop series length. But it had a cult following, so much so that it got a physical release here in the States, which is crazy for a series that lasted 2 or 3 volumes. high expectations here. It's looking really good. I'm very much enjoying it so far, and I could definitely see this one doing well, but a lot of people said this about Red Hood as well, and obviously it got axed. So we'll just have to see. I think it has a lot of promise though, and I'm hopeful for it. Next, real quick, let's just talk about Embers. This just ended, so I mean, what's even the point of really talking about it? It was a sports series. It was soccer. I know people liked it, but I think I'm not trying to like dictate your own opinions, but I think the thing you really liked about it was the art. And I've seen this take thrown around a lot. This was a series carried by the art. Well, first of all, it wasn't really carried by anything because it didn't last very long. It got axed. But the art was really cool and unique. I'd like to see this artist continue on and get more work in the future. The writer, I don't know. I really wasn't feeling this series. I was super just kind of bored reading it a lot of the time. The art was engaging. That had me going. Like I definitely enjoyed looking at the art. But that's kind of it. I sort of just viewed this series as an art book every week, and I didn't really get much substance out of any of the dialogue or characters. It's a decent first start for this duo if they choose to continue to work together. But if nothing else, I do hope this artist gets to do another series in the future because it was really cool, unique art, especially for a sports series. I think, some may say he should do like a shonen, like a battle shonen, but honestly, if this artist does continue to work in this industry, I want to see him do another sports series because I really like the way this artist portrayed like actions in sports. And you're even seeing a little bit of the same kind of thing in Harukaze Mound. And it's not an original thing. They do the same thing in Haikyuu and many others, like, showing over the top depictions of actions in sports. But there was just something uniquely interesting about the Embers art. So, it was a decent run, but it ultimately didn't last. It lasted a little longer than the typical like 18, 19 chapters, but it only was 20 chapters. So, and it consistently was ranking like near the bottom of the TOC. So, what can you do? Then there's Star of Beethoven, which as of recording this, it's not known if this is the next thing to get axed, but it's really looking like this is about to get axed. Even by the time this is uploaded, it might be known. Maybe in editing, I can add something if it was announced now that this is ending. Yeah, it was solid at first. I thought it had a cool vibe to it. It kind of just it got lost in the sauce. It didn't really know what it was doing. I feel like it lost its footing for the middle portion here. It's got its footing back, weirdly enough, but I think it's about to end, so it doesn't really matter. I've actually really been enjoying the stuff that it's been doing lately because we're actually back to pure piano stuff and not having to worry about the Beethoven mystery, which I really did not care about. So because this is likely about to end, I'll talk about this more in a future video whenever, it does end or whatever happens to it. So, Nice Prison. Guys, this one is this isn't good. This is maybe the worst gag manga I have ever read. And that's saying a lot. I'm at a loss for words on this one. I haven't laughed at it a single time. The art kind of sucks, and like, yeah, it's a gag manga. It's probably intentionally drawn that way, but I don't like looking at this. I don't like reading it. I don't like anything about this experience of having this in front of my vision. I don't want it to be in the magazine. This is the first time in a while I've had a series that I just like, I can't do it. I need this gone. It's really bad. Kill Blue. Not a fan, personally. I am not really into Kill Blue. It's been spinning its wheels for so long. I thought it was about to end a few months ago, and then it just kept going with the whole new thing, and I am just not feeling it. It seems like audiences aren't exactly feeling it either. It's not ranking super high lately. Its sales aren't like super good. It's selling like decent. to moderately good. You know, like it's a tier below most of the other big things in the magazine, but it's still here. It's kicking. It's just a weird one. I don't know. I don't enjoy my time reading this most of the time. I just find myself not caring about what's happening. The characters have gotten really stale. It's not for me. I know there are some fans, but honestly, not many. I don't see a lot of like ride or dies for Kill Blue, but they're out there. I know they are. We'll see how this one goes. I don't know. Hema 10. As I was talking about with up and comers, this is definitely one of them. It does rank really inconsistently on the TOC, which is odd, but I'm sure it'll find its footing. It keeps like finding its footing and then falling off, at least in terms of the audience. I really like it though. I'm having a good time with it. It's not always good. It's definitely got dips. I think overall it's a solid experience. Like this is more of a traditional fan servicey kind of romance series, but it is still more tame than a lot of others that have ran in this magazine. It's still sort of uncomfortable. I mean, you know, it is what it is. But for what it is, I'm enjoying my time with it. I think it's looking promising. It's hard to say if this will be a mainstay or not because of how weirdly it's been ranking in the TOC, but the TOC is not everything. We've learned that on many occasions. I'm hopeful for it. I'm kind of rooting for it, but if it does get axed at some point, I'm not going to be too heartbroken, but I don't see it happening. I feel like they're going to try to keep this one around. Then there's Shinobi Undercover, which is another newer one. You know, it started last year. It's been going strong. It's kind of a weird one because it didn't really start popular. It took a while to get its core audience, but I guess once the right crowd found it, they really loved it because it's ranking pretty well now. It's selling surprisingly well in comparison to a lot of other things. I mean, it's selling gangbusters compared to Kill Blue, and that's been around longer. I like it. It's cute. Just introduced a power system, which I'm not too crazy about. I don't really think it needed a power system, but it's there. You know, I'm learning it. It's here. I gotta learn it if I'm gonna keep reading the series. So yeah, it's a solid one. It's definitely sticking around. It's catching wind. I guess you could say this is sort of the thing that's waiting in the wings under Sakamoto days. If we're talking about the pillars that I mentioned. It's been keeping itself fresh enough where I don't really see it getting stale anytime soon. So, yeah, looking forward to the future of this one. All right, how about Me and Roboco, the main gag series of the magazine right now, and it's great. I really love Me and Roboco. You know, it's definitely a hit or miss series. It's not every chapter is making me laugh my ass off. When it tickles that funny bone, it really works. You know, it can be pretty hysterical. It can also be pretty annoying at times, I'll say. But I'd say for the most part, this is a really solid series, just a fun group of characters. I never really get tired of reading it. There's definitely weeks where I'm just like, yeah, that was kind of a dud. It's not often enough for me to have any sort of negative feelings about this series. I think it's solid. It's a good time. It's also not going anywhere. It has a movie coming out if it didn't already come out. I mean, not here. We're not going to get it, but in Japan. How about Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi? So this is, you know, I was talking about Kagurabachi being the little series that could. This is really the little series that could because damn, I and many others did not see this series lasting long. I will also say that I don't think the mangaka thought this series would last long because we've been in what feels like a final arc for a while, and I feel like this arc started because he thought this was going to get axed. This is all speculative, but it really does feel like this should be like a final arc, but I'm assuming it'll continue beyond this. It's hard for me to imagine what's going to happen because they're wiping out like the whole demon army and everything right now, which is like the main threat of the series, but we'll see what happens. I really like this series. I hope to see it continue. I want to see it grow and expand into something more than the kind of small scope we started with. Let's raise the stakes. Let's get a whole big world going. I'm down for whatever. I really, really like this one. It's obviously heavily inspired by One Piece in terms of the art style, which is awesome to see. I really, really want to start seeing more and more series inspired by One Piece's art style pop into the magazine. Doesn't happen that often. Usually we have more just typical manga art styles, whereas One Piece obviously is outside of the norm for manga standards. And it's really cool to see another series doing what Oda did for, a new generation. And I'm really enjoying it. I hope to see it continue. And it seems like it will be because it's doing really well. It's selling pretty damn well. So good job, Kiyoshi. I'm very impressed. So let's talk about a few series that have been around for a good minute. Starting off with Akane Banashi. Incredible. This is one of my favorite things running in the magazine, and this is exactly why. This is one of the series that came to my head when I was talking about those pillars. I couldn't exactly put it up there because it's still a niche. I think it's like, it's right under those four pillars that I was talking about, but it's just not quite there yet. It's filling a weird gap in the magazine because it's not a sports series per se, but it's sort of presented as if it's one. It's a performance art, like comedy series. It's not really a comedy, but it's about people doing comedy. But it's also kind of a drama. It's actually very heartfelt and emotional a lot of the time. The most intense emotions I've felt from this magazine have come from Akane Banashi, which is saying a lot. I think it's incredible. I love it so damn much. I want to see this last for as long as it needs to, and it's going to. It's really popular. I'm sure it'll get an anime sooner rather than later. Great stuff. Keep going, Akane. The Elusive Samurai, another, mainstay. This has just recently hit 200 chapters. That's a big deal. Might be starting to get towards like a final arc. Hard to tell with this one. It is what it is. I enjoy some of this, but I also don't enjoy a lot of it. It's really up and down with how it's presented, and it gets kind of overwhelming because it's obviously telling a real historical story to some degree that I have no familiarity with. And the mangaka respects that. Like, there's a lot of effort to explain things as it goes along. It's not like it expects you to know this story already. But there's other things that just really bug me about this series. Just doesn't quite hit with me. I think a lot of non-Japanese people really do feel the cultural barrier with this one. I think that's a big thing that's kind of keeping it from being popular overseas. It's just really deeply rooted in Japanese culture, and it's causing a big disconnect. It's always been that way with me for sure, but I've noticed it with many others as well. It definitely does have its fans, but this is, even though this is a big one that's been in the magazine for quite some time, you don't really see a lot of discussion about it overseas, which is pretty unusual for a big name series in the magazine. Nue's Exorcist. This is a weird one. I find myself pretty baffled by this one on a regular occasion. It has no idea what it wants to be. This is a battle shonen, a harem romance. It's just, it doesn't work. It does all these things, but none of, like, anytime it changes genres on the fly like that, it doesn't really do a good job at being that genre even. This is truly a baffling series to me. I've not enjoyed it pretty much ever. I think from chapter one, I was a hater, and that's never stopped. I don't like this series at all. Every once in a while, it impresses me. But lately, man, holy hell, it has been a nightmare. I have not enjoyed reading a single second of it. I mean, we just recently, I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we read a whole chapter about baby pissing. That was the whole chapter. Why? Why we have to do that? I don't care. I didn't need to see Gakuro like almost drown in piss. I'm good. I don't know. Maybe I'm a pessimist. I know people do like this series, but I don't, and I'm good. I don't. I only read it because I read everything else in the magazine. I would not read this otherwise, but I am held here against my own will. And for no particular reason, I guess the last thing we're talking about is Witch Watch. I love Witch Watch. Again, it's another hit or miss. Sometimes there's a pretty bad chapter, or just like a whatever chapter. Sometimes there's great chapters, or I'm actually like dying laughing. There's usually the chapters that focus on Khan. I'm just laughing so hard. He's just so damn funny. The way he's written, the scenarios he gets himself into, it never disappoints. But ever since we have this, you know, this young Nico thing going on, it's been rough. You know, the series has not had that same charm that it's had in the past. We're slowly getting back to adult Nico. We'll get there when we get there, but man, it's taken a while, and I think a lot of people are starting to feel the toll. It just hasn't hit the same highs that it hit in the past, and it's a shame. It still produces banger chapters every once in a while, do not get me wrong, but it's more rare than I want it to be and more rare than it used to be. Regardless, Witch Watch is a really solid series. It's doing really well. It just got an anime, which is amazing, with an opening directed by Megumi Ishitani. Holy hell, that's awesome. So yeah, good stuff all around. I am quite a big fan of Witch Watch. So given the nature of this video being a, halfway through the year check-in on Jump, let's briefly talk about the series that ended this year, because there were some pretty big ones that ended this year, and also just some flops that I want to talk about real quick, since I won't get a chance to later. First of which being Mission Yozakura Family. That's the first thing that ended this year, and that was a mainstay for a while. It was always kind of a weird gray area series where it never sold gangbusters or anything, and it was never super high on the TOC, but it was riding the line. It was just popular enough to stay in there. It had a pretty dedicated following. I liked it well enough. I thought the most of the post time skip content was actually really great. That's where I had the most fun with the series, and that was the whole last bit of it. So I was pretty into it for that whole final arc and everything. So solid stuff, solid series. I can't say I miss it or anything, because I think it stayed its welcome. It told its story and it got out of here. No strong feelings towards it either way. It was a solid enough series. Then we lost Undead Unluck, and man, that was a great one. I really, really like Undead Unluck. I think it did a lot of amazing things. The ending was a little fast, a little rushed, but it seemed to have ended on its own terms. So I don't know. I guess that's just how it was intended to end, and it is also very fitting of that series. I can't complain too much. But great run, great series. I hope the anime continues. I think we have like a TV special or something coming up soon. I do miss it. This one is felt more to me. For a while after it ended, I still just kept looking for new chapters, because it didn't feel right for that one to end for some reason. I don't know. Something about it. Like, you had JJK and My Hero end, but those came more naturally to me than Undead Unluck's ending. I don't know. I don't know why that is. I guess just because it was so unexpected for me. But yeah, I loved that one. Then there was Haku Taku, and that was garbage. Man, that was a really bad one. That was so bad. I didn't like a single thing about it. It was about, if you missed this one, this was about like game development, like kids, like high school kids doing game jams and stuff. And yeah, man, it did not work. Nothing about that series worked. It is not missed, and I don't really care if that mangaka, I think it was a writer artist too, I don't even remember. I don't really care if they do anything again. I'll be open to it. I mean, they can try something again. And I mean, I'll read it, but can't say I care. Then there was Astro Royale, which of course, a series that Jump was really trying to make work, because it was a very famous mangaka. That was the Tokyo Revengers mangaka. That's huge. That was a huge get for the magazine, and they obviously really wanted that to be popular. They let it overstay its welcome for sure. I mean, it wasn't really selling well, it wasn't ranking well, wasn't polling well, but they kept it going for about 50 chapters, I believe. And it just, I don't know. It did its thing. The art was cool. It was a generally cool idea and concept. I had a decent time with it, but it lacked oomph. And I've not read Tokyo Revengers. I've watched the first season of the anime, but that's about it. I'm assuming that it's a lot better than Astro Royale was, because you can definitely tell there's something there with that mangaka. He just he knows manga. He knows how to make a cool story. But That wasn't it. He tried, Jump tried, but it did not pay out. Now we're getting into stuff that like just ended, but we just had a wave of axes and we probably got another one coming. But Sidcraft Levels of Mystery ended recently. That was a decent ride. It stayed a little longer than a typical axe series, so I don't know, maybe Jump just wanted to see it succeed, or maybe it was polling decently well. I don't really know. But it was a fun one. I actually quite enjoyed it. I wasn't exactly sad to see it go. It told its story. It works as the length it was. It was definitely supposed to last longer. I mean, we had a character that was introduced once. I think it was, Sid's sister or whatever, like adoptive sister, whatever that was. I can't even remember. Like that lived in the basement. She appeared like one time and then appeared again at the end, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this character even existed. She was definitely supposed to be like some kind of reoccurring character, but she only appeared like the one time. So yeah, it was cut short, but I had a good time with it. I don't know, it was fine. And then of course, Embers, I've already talked about it. It just, it just ended. I talked about it earlier. There's not much else to say about it. It was a series. It happened. Alright, so to wrap up, so far this year has been really solid for Jump. It's been a year, again, that a lot of people thought the magazine would kind of be stumbling around, but it has bounced back very quickly. Even just throughout the end of last year, it was already looking promising, and this year has really cemented those feelings quite comfortably. I'm very hopeful about the future of this magazine. Things are looking really bright right now. It's got a lot of great mainstays in there right now. And honestly, it's just been super quality lately. Like, there's really nothing running right now that is super... Okay, Nice Prison is really bad. But other than that, everything's been pretty solid. Even the series that I'm not crazy about, I don't really care for Kill Blue or Elusive Samurai all that much. But they're fine. They have their fans. I can accept that I'm not going to like everything that runs in the magazine. But again, I don't have to like everything in the magazine. I just choose to read everything because I'm a maniac. So yeah, we're halfway through. We got a whole another 6 months to go for this year. I'm really excited to see what develops as we continue. What gets axed. I really don't know what's going to end this year. Like, other than being axed, I'm not sure if we're going to get anything ending. I think the closest thing to a conclusion right now, off the top of my head, might be Sakamoto Days. I don't know. Maybe. But regardless of what happens, the lineup is solid right now. I don't see it changing much throughout this year. Next year will be interesting because we're definitely getting series ending next year. Like several, I'm pretty sure. If they don't end this year. But next year, 100% we will have things that are mainstays right now ending. And we'll see how that goes. I think the magazine will be fine though. Like I said, I think there's pretty comfortably things at the bottom of each of the current pillars that'll just take their place as soon as they're gone. And it'll be no sweat. So yeah, everybody, thanks for checking out this video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know what you think the pillars of the magazine are, what your favorites running right now are, and if you think anything's going to end this year, just any questions I posed during this video, let me know what you think. Always happy to hear people's responses. So I'll see you guys in whatever the next video is. It might just be the next Shonen Jump review. It might be something else. I'm not really sure. But see you guys for whatever it is.